Part 1. Invitation from the unknown. They say every forest has its own secret. But this one has a hunger. The first time I heard about the zone, it was through a voicemail my brother left me at 3:17 a.m. His voice was slurred, breathless, the kind of voice that comes from someone who hasn't slept in days. I found it, the place they talk about. But there's something here, Nate. It's watching. It knows my name. That was the last time I ever heard from him. For weeks, I tried to rationalize it. Drugs, stress, a bad trip. Except for one thing. A package arrived at my door 2 days later. No return address, no postage, just a diary. My brother's handwriting scrawled across its water-stained pages. I didn't want to read it, but curiosity is a disease. Every entry pulled me deeper into his madness. There were sketches of doors without walls, drawings of keys that bled, and notes about the keeper, a nameless entity said to control every locked door in the zone. If you see him, don't look away. If you hear the keys, run. The final page was smeared with something dark, something that looked too much like blood. Part 2. The first door. The forest didn't look different at first. Just trees, damp earth, the usual silence you'd expect from a place left alone too long. But the air felt heavier, like something unseen was pressing down. I walked for what felt like hours, guided only by the coordinates my brother left in his diary. When I reached the clearing, there it was. A cabin, weathered and wrong, standing where no building should be. The door was open, swinging slightly in the breeze, and at its threshold lay a keyring. The keys didn't match. One was modern, the kind you'd find at a motel. Another was ancient, rusted with age. And the last one, God, the last one looked organic, like it had been carved from bone. I should have left. Every sane part of me screamed to turn back. But my hand reached down, fingers brushing the keys. The moment I touched them, the forest blinked. The trees vanished, replaced by an endless corridor lined with doors, each one slightly ajar, each one breathing softly, like something waited on the other side. The keyring in my hand moved. Part 3. The first key turns. I don't remember choosing the first door. Chose me. The key burned cold in my palm, the teeth twisting to fit the lock perfectly. When the door swung open, it revealed a memory that wasn't mine. A small boy, no older than 6, sitting at a kitchen table. His mother stood at the sink, her back to him. The boy whispered, "She's not my mom anymore." When the mother turned around, her face was gone. Just smooth skin stretched too tight over bone, and in her hand, a key just like mine. I stumbled back, but the door wouldn't close. The mother's head snapped toward me, and though she had no eyes, I knew she saw me. The boy screamed, and suddenly I was back in the hallway, cold sweat pouring down my back. The first key on the ring had disappeared. Part 4. The keeper whispers. The air in the hallway had changed. Felt thicker, pulsing with a heartbeat that wasn't mine. Shadows stretched the wrong way. My footsteps echoed back a second too late. Then I heard it, the sound of keys jingling, coming closer, each chime sharp enough to cut skin. I ran. I didn't know where I was going, only that I had to move. But the hallway had no end, only more doors. Each time I passed one, a whisper slid through the cracks. "Nate, your turn." The keys grew heavier until they felt like they were part of my hand. No matter how hard I tried to drop them, my fingers wouldn't obey. The keeper was calling. Part 5. The room of truth. I stopped at a door marked with my brother's initials, carved deep into the wood. The key turned on its own. The room inside was my childhood bedroom, but wrong. The walls were too close, the ceiling too low. And sitting on the bed was my brother, only his skin was cracked like old porcelain, and from his mouth spilled keys instead of words. "You took too long," he gurgled. "Now you have to keep the keys." The door slammed behind me. The room collapsed inward, and I fell through the floor, back into the hallway. But this time, the keeper was waiting. Part 6. The face of the keeper. He wasn't a man. Not fully. His body was stitched together from door frames, his limbs creaking like hinges, and where his face should have been were keyholes. Dozens of them, each one leaking a thin trail of dark oil. He didn't speak. He just offered me a key. The only way out was through. I took it. Part 7, the final twist. The door the keeper led me to wasn't like the others. It was my front door. The same door I walked through this morning. Only now it led back into the forest. As I stepped through, I realized I was holding the diary again. But this time, the handwriting inside was mine. Every page detailed events I hadn't lived yet. Every choice, every door already written. And at the bottom of the final page, a message scrawled in shaking letters. If you find the keys, you become the keeper. Run. But it's too late for me now. The keys have sunk into my skin. I can feel them replacing my bones, turning me into part of the corridor. So if you're reading this, turn back, before the doors open for you too. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors. Episode 1, Part 2. The diary was still in my hand. My handwriting, but older. The edges of the paper were brittle, stained with something too dark to be ink. My breath came shallow, the weight of the keys digging into my palm, each tooth pressing into flesh like they were trying to burrow deeper. The forest outside wasn't the same forest I had entered. The trees leaned toward me, their branches like arms reaching for something they recognized. The ground pulsed faintly, and when I stepped forward, I realized it was breathing. This place knew me, or rather, it knew who I was becoming. I walked, not because I wanted to, but because the keys were pulling me. Each step felt pre-written, like I was moving along a track someone had laid long before my birth. The sky above shifted between dusk and dawn without ever settling, and the air smelled like wet earth and rotting wood. The first door appeared at the base of a dead tree. I knew this door. I had seen it in my dreams years ago. A door half buried in the ground, its handle wrapped in hair. My own hair. The keyring trembled in my hand, and one key glowed faintly, like it remembered the lock. I opened it. Behind the door was a room that shouldn't exist. It was my old bedroom, exactly as I left it when I was 17. Posters peeling from the walls, a half-empty bottle of whiskey on the windowsill, and my journal open to the night I first thought about disappearing. But sitting at the desk wasn't my reflection. It was me, older, gaunter, my skin stretched too tight over sharp bones. My eyes were gone, replaced by keyholes, and from my mouth hung the keyring, the same one in my hand. "Welcome back," the other me whispered, voice wet and broken. I slammed the door, but the memory didn't leave. It followed me into the hallway, each step dragging a memory I didn't want to face. My mother crying behind a locked door, my brother's voicemail playing on repeat. The time I stood at a bridge, keys in my hand, deciding whether to jump. The keeper wasn't just some spirit haunting the zone. The keeper was every version of me that had ever tried to run away. The second door appeared without warning. This one was metal, rusted and dented, with deep claw marks along its surface. The key in my hand felt colder, sharper. When it turned, the door opened into a hospital corridor, the fluorescent lights flickering erratically. The air was filled with the smell of bleach and something metallic. Blood. A trail of it led down the hallway, disappearing under a door labeled Room 11. I knew better. I knew what waited inside, but the keys didn't care. Room 11 was empty, except for a gurney covered in a white sheet. Beneath the sheet was a shape too small to be an adult. My hands shook as I reached for the corner, pulling it back to reveal my brother. His mouth stretched open in a silent scream, and from his throat spilled more keys, each one etched with names I didn't recognize. His hands gripped his own throat, fingers digging into his flesh until they broke skin. And in his palm, clutched so tightly the metal cut into bone, was a key identical to mine. "You took too long." His voice echoed from nowhere and everywhere. "Now you have to keep the doors." The sheet caught fire without warning, the flames eating through fabric and flesh alike, but the keys didn't burn. They just multiplied. The hallway outside the room was gone. In its place stood a wall of mirrors, each one reflecting a version of me I didn't recognize. Some younger, some older, some missing parts of themselves, but all holding the same keyring. The keeper wasn't hunting me. I was training to replace him. I ran. Doors blurred past me, each one breathing, whispering, remembering. They called my name like a lullaby sung by the dead. My own voice echoed back at me, from somewhere far ahead or maybe deep inside. Every door I passed, I saw a memory I had forgotten, or maybe a memory from a life I never lived. The time I drowned in a bathtub at age 6. The night I killed a man in self-defense at 24. The morning I woke up next to a wife I never married. The doors held every possibility of who I could have been, and every regret I tried to bury. The keeper wasn't a curse. The keeper was consequence. The last door stopped me cold. It was my front door. The same door I had walked through when I left for this cursed forest. Except now the wood was rotting, and a keyhole was carved directly into the center of it, shaped like my own mouth. The final key burned hotter than fire. When I turned it, the door opened into my childhood home. And sitting at the kitchen table waiting for me was my mother. Only this time, her face was smooth skin. No eyes, no mouth, just a blank canvas stretched too tight over bone. In front of her, on the table, lay a set of keys identical to mine. "It's your turn now," she said, though her mouth never moved. And as I stepped inside, the door closed behind me, and the keyring sank into my palm, becoming part of my flesh. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors. Episode 3. The third door found me before I found it. I wasn't walking toward it. I wasn't even thinking about opening another door yet. My legs were numb. My mind fogged from the weight of the keys, sinking into my skin like parasites. But the door knew. It always knew. It stood there, half buried in the earth, as if the forest itself had tried to swallow it and failed. The wood was split down the middle, as if someone had tried to kick their way out long ago. Scratches lined the edges, not from tools or animals, but from fingernails. A name was carved into the door. My brother's? No. My mother's? No. It was my own name, but written in handwriting I didn't recognize. Jagged, desperate, the way someone might carve a confession just before death. The keyring in my hand dragged me forward. The moment the key touched the lock, the wood shivered like skin exposed to cold. The door breathed, inhaling deeply before creaking open. Inside was a hotel room or something trying too hard to look like one. The bed was made too neatly, the curtains hung too straight, and the air smelled of cheap perfume layered over something rotting underneath. The television flickered on. Grainy footage rolled, black and white, like a surveillance tape left running too long. In the video, a man sat at the edge of the bed, smoking a cigarette with shaking hands. His back was to the camera, but I knew that back. It was mine. A knock sounded at the door within the video. The man, my past self, stood up, smoothing his shirt, his fingers trembling as he reached for the handle. The door opened, and a woman stepped inside. Her face was blurred out, but her voice, I knew that voice. My wife's voice, but I've never been married. The video played on. The woman whispered something, and the man, the past me, pulled her into his arms. There was hunger in the way he kissed her, but also fear. Like he knew he wasn't supposed to be there. Like he knew someone was watching. The camera glitched. Suddenly, the scene shifted. The bed was smeared with blood, the sheets torn apart. The man stood in the corner now, his hands drenched up to the elbows. The woman was gone. Only a single key lay where her body should have been. The camera zoomed in on the key. My name was engraved on it. The television shut off. The hotel room melted away, leaving only the door and the forest. But now someone stood behind me. I could feel their breath on my neck. Cold, sour, familiar. When I turned, I saw my own reflection, but twisted, skin peeling off in places, eyes blacked out like footage from a crime scene, and in its hand, in my hand, it held the same key from the video. "You promised you wouldn't tell," it whispered, voice overlapping with mine. "But secrets rot from the inside out. The door slammed shut. The forest changed again. The trees were wrong, bending inward to form a tunnel, their bark cracked and bleeding dark sap. Faces appeared in the wood. People I'd known, people I'd loved. All of them staring at me with accusing eyes. I stumbled forward, the keys growing heavier, until I dropped to my knees. The earth opened beneath me, swallowing me up until I stood inside a room I recognized instantly. It was our childhood living room, but the furniture was burned to ash, and the walls were lined with letters I'd never sent. Apology letters, confessions. Each one written to my brother, begging forgiveness for something I couldn't remember. But the memory came rushing back. I was the one who told the keeper about him. I was the one who led him to the doors. Because once, a long time ago, the keeper offered me a deal. Trade one soul to escape the zone. I gave him my brother. And now the doors remembered. The walls shook, the letters peeling off and crawling toward me. Each word sinking into my skin like tattoos made of guilt. The door I had entered through was gone, replaced by dozens of new ones. Each one carved with a different betrayal from my past. The time I stole from my father's wallet. The night I left my brother alone in the woods. The day I lied at my mother's funeral just to make myself the hero. Every door led to a different version of my own betrayal. The keys trembled. The keeper's whisper crawled up my spine. Pick one, tell the truth, or the doors will eat you whole. I opened the smallest door, the one no bigger than a cupboard. Inside was a mirror. In the reflection, I saw my brother. Only his face was my face, and his hands were around my throat. And behind him stood every person I had ever betrayed, each holding a key carved from bone. We remember, they spoke in unison. And now, so will you. The mirror shattered, the shards sinking into my skin until I bled memories I didn't know I still had. And when I looked down at the keys, they were no longer metal. They were made from my own bones. Hidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors. Episode 4. There's a door no one talks about. Not because they forget, the zone never lets you forget, but because speaking its name invites it closer. It doesn't creak like the others. It doesn't whisper. It watches. I didn't find the door. The door found me. I was sitting at the base of a tree, fingers tracing the edges of the diary that wasn't mine but somehow always belonged to me. The keys had fused into my palm, veins wrapping around them like roots feeding off my blood. I wasn't afraid anymore. I was numb. That's when the cleansing door appeared. It grew out of the earth like a tumor, wood wet and pulsing like raw flesh. The surface reflected not the forest, but my own face, stretched wide in silent scream. There was no keyhole, because this door didn't need keys. The door opened itself. Behind it was a room that didn't make sense, a bathroom too familiar, too intimate. The tiles were cracked and stained, the mirror shattered, and the tub was full. Not with water, with me. I was lying in the tub, fully clothed, eyes open, mouth barely above the surface of the black liquid that filled it. The me in the tub whispered something over and over, bubbles breaking the surface with each word. You knew, you knew, you knew. Knew what? The water began to rise. Not in the tub, in the room. It was flooding upward, from the floor to the ceiling, filling my lungs with every memory I ever buried. The first memory hit like a bullet. I was 12. My brother had caught me stealing money from our mother's purse. I begged him not to tell. I promised him I'd take care of him forever if he kept my secret. He kept it, and I forgot. Until now, the second memory clawed its way out of the walls. I was 17. My best friend confessed his darkest fear to me, that he thought about ending his own life every night. I promised him I'd stay. I promised him he wasn't alone. I left town the next day. He didn't make it to the next week. The water was at my neck. The third memory broke me. I was 23, drunk, angry, alone. My brother called me, crying, saying he'd found something. Something in the woods, something that spoke his name. He begged me to come get him. I laughed, told him he was crazy like Dad. Hung up the phone. That was the night the keeper took him. The water was over my head now. Couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Every broken promise, every betrayal I thought I outran crawled back inside me, filling my lungs like cement. That's when I saw him. The keeper, but not the one I saw before. This one was me, but cleaner, untouched by guilt. A version of me that never took the first key. He stood outside the tub, watching me drown in my own truth. "You could have been me," he said, voice soft, "but you chose the doors. And now the doors choose you." The bathroom dissolved. I was back in the forest, but naked, skin covered in words carved directly into my flesh. Every broken promise, every lie, every death I caused just by existing. The trees whispered them back to me like a prayer. Liar, coward, murderer. My brother's voice cut through them all. "I waited for you." The cleansing door was gone, but the mark it left was forever. My body wasn't mine anymore, it belonged to the zone. The keys were inside me now, bone, blood, memory, all fused into one. And somewhere, deep inside, I heard a new door unlocking. Not for me, for the next fool who walks into the woods. And I'll be waiting, because now I am part of the forest. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 5. There's no sound in the reflection corridor. Not silence. No sound at all. Even my own breath disappeared the moment Twa Byuk Veo. The walls weren't walls. They were mirrors. Some cracked, some warped, all of them breathing like lungs stretched too thin. And in each mirror I saw myself. Not reflections. Copies. Each one a version of me I forgot existed. One version was still 16, hands covered in my brother's blood, whispering, "I'm sorry," into the dark. One was 25, standing at the edge of a bridge, pockets full of stones, eyes already gone. One was 40, sitting alone in an empty house, drinking from a bottle filled with ashes. And all of them were watching me. The corridor stretched into forever. Every few steps, a new door appeared between mirrors. But these doors weren't like the others. Each door had my face carved into the wood, mouth twisted into a scream, and the doorknob was a perfect replica of my own hand, frozen mid-reach. The first door whispered, "You can't lie to me." The second door laughed, "You think you deserve to leave?" The third door said nothing, because the third door was open. Inside was the room I died in. I didn't know it until I saw it. But the moment Twa Dat Chan Veo, KYUC Bedra New Dao Cat to Fit. It was a hospital room, the air too cold, the light too white. On the bed lay me, chest still, skin waxy, eyes taped shut. Machines beeped their useless melody, a heartbeat that wasn't mine anymore. And sitting beside the bed was my brother, holding my hand, whispering things I was too dead to hear. "I died years ago. I just forgot to stay dead. The keeper never took me. The forest never called me. I came back myself. Because some people can't stand the silence of the grave. Some people need to punish themselves forever." I walked closer to the bed, watching my own chest rise and fall. Unnatural, wrong. This body wasn't alive. It was a memory that refused to end. And my brother, my poor, broken brother, turned to face me. His eyes were mirrors, and in their reflection, I saw the real keeper. Me. The reflection corridor wasn't a prison. It was a judgment room. Every person who ever entered the zone ended up here, face to face with every version of themselves they had buried, forgotten, betrayed. You don't escape the zone by running. You escape by choosing which version of yourself gets to leave. The brother in the chair stood up. Only one of us walks out. Choose. In his hand was a knife made of keys, the blade shimmering with every memory I tried to bury. I looked down. My own hand held the same knife. This was the final rule of the Forbidden Zone. To leave, you must kill the part of yourself that brought you here. My brother's face flickered, and I realized he wasn't my brother at all. He was the me who made every wrong choice. The me who betrayed family, abandoned friends, broke every promise. The me who deserved to stay. He smiled. You can't kill me. You need me. And maybe he was right, because without my sins, what was left of me? But the door behind him was open, and through it, I saw something I hadn't seen in years. Daylight. Real sunlight, not the sickly glow of the zone. Real air, not the breathing dirt beneath my feet. One of us could walk through it. Only one. We fought, not like men, like animals. Teeth and nails and keys cutting skin like paper. Every scream echoed through the corridor, multiplying until the whole forest was screaming with us. I stabbed first. He stabbed deeper. We bled memories instead of blood. Every betrayal pouring out in thick black streams. But in the end, only one of us was still standing. I walked out of the reflection corridor alone, covered in my own blood, holding only one key, the key to the first door I ever opened. The forest behind me went silent, because it no longer needed to whisper. It had found its new keeper. As I stepped back into the world, the sky felt too bright, the air too light. I had survived, but I wasn't free, because the forbidden zone doesn't disappear. It just waits for the next broken soul too afraid to face their own reflection. And when they come, the doors will open again, because now the keeper is me. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 5. There's no sound in the reflection corridor. Not silence. No sound at all. Even my own breath disappeared the moment Toi Byuk Veo. The walls weren't walls. They were mirrors. Some cracked, some warped, all of them breathing like lungs stretched too thin. And in each mirror I saw myself. Not reflections. Copies. Each one a version of me I forgot existed. One version was still 16, hands covered in my brother's blood, whispering, "I'm sorry," into the dark. One was 25, standing at the edge of a bridge, pockets full of stones, eyes already gone. One was 40, sitting alone in an empty house, drinking from a bottle filled with ashes, and all of them were watching me. The corridor stretched into forever. Every few steps, a new door appeared between mirrors. But these doors weren't like the others. Each door had my face carved into the wood, mouth twisted into a scream, and the doorknob was a perfect replica of my own hand, frozen mid-reach. The first door whispered, "You can't lie to me." The second door laughed, "You think you deserve to leave?" The third door said nothing, because the third door was open. Inside was the room I died in. I didn't know it until I saw it. But the moment Toi Dat Chan Veo, KYUC Bedra Nu Dao Cat to Fit. It was a hospital room, the air too cold, the light too white. On the bed lay me, chest still, skin waxy, eyes taped shut. Machines beeped their useless melody, a heartbeat that wasn't mine anymore. And sitting beside the bed was my brother, holding my hand, whispering things I was too dead to hear. I died years ago. I just forgot to stay dead. The keeper never took me. The forest never called me. I came back myself. Because some people can't stand the silence of the grave. Some people need to punish themselves forever. I walked closer to the bed, watching my own chest rise and fall. Unnatural, wrong. This body wasn't alive. It was a memory that refused to end. And my brother, my poor, broken brother, turned to face me. His eyes were mirrors, and in their reflection, I saw the real keeper, me. The reflection corridor wasn't a prison. It was a judgment room. Every person who ever entered the zone ended up here, face to face with every version of themselves they had buried, forgotten, betrayed. You don't escape the zone by running. You escape by choosing which version of yourself gets to leave. The brother in the chair stood up. Only one of us walks out. Choose. In his hand was a knife made of keys, the blade shimmering with every memory I tried to bury. I looked down. My own hand held the same knife. This was the final rule of the Forbidden Zone. To leave, you must kill the part of yourself that brought you here. My brother's face flickered, and I realized he wasn't my brother at all. He was the me who made every wrong choice. The me who betrayed family, abandoned friends, broke every promise. The me who deserved to stay. He smiled. "You can't kill me. You need me." And maybe he was right, because without my sins, what was left of me? But the door behind him was open, and through it, I saw something I hadn't seen in years. Daylight. Real sunlight, not the sickly glow of the zone. Real air, not the breathing dirt beneath my feet. One of us could walk through it. Only one. We fought, not like men, like animals. Teeth and nails and keys cutting skin like paper. Every scream echoed through the corridor, multiplying until the whole forest was screaming with us. I stabbed first. He stabbed deeper. We bled memories instead of blood. Every betrayal pouring out in thick black streams. But in the end, only one of us was still standing. I walked out of the reflection corridor alone, covered in my own blood, holding only one key, the key to the first door I ever opened. The forest behind me went silent, because it no longer needed to whisper. It had found its new keeper. As I stepped back into the world, the sky felt too bright, the air too light. I had survived, but I wasn't free, because the forbidden zone doesn't disappear. It just waits for the next broken soul too afraid to face their own reflection. And when they come, the doors will open again, because now the keeper is me. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 7. I have no name anymore. The forest took it. The doors fed on it. The keeper swallowed it whole. But once, a long, long time ago, I was the first to step through, the first to bleed, the first to become the key. They built this place wrong, not with wood and nails, with fear and silence. It started with a village, long buried under your feet, its stones crumbling into the earth, its bones rotting into the roots. We were not innocent. We were not good people. We were desperate, and desperate people will believe anything if it promises survival. The winter that year was too long. Crops rotted under the frost. Children coughed themselves into shallow graves. Mothers tore their hair out, cursing God, cursing themselves, cursing the land. That's when he arrived. A man with no shadow, a voice soft as snow falling on skin. He called himself the Keeper, but not like now, not like what you've seen. Back then, the Keeper was human. He said the land was cursed. Blood had been spilled where it shouldn't have, and now the earth wanted payment. But not gold, not food. The earth wanted secrets. The Keeper told us, build the doors and confess to them your worst sin. Lock your secrets inside, and the land will sleep again. But if you lie, if you hold anything back, the doors will open for you forever. We believed him, because fear makes fools of everyone. We built the doors. 12 of them, surrounding the village like a broken circle. Each family made one, carved from the wood of their own homes, so no one could ever say they didn't know what lay behind it. We wrote our sins on paper, sealed them in envelopes, and slid them beneath the doors. For a while, it worked. The snow melted, the fields bloomed, the dead stayed dead. But you know people lie. One man lied to his door. He confessed to stealing bread, but not to killing his own son for a handful of grain. The door knew. The door always knows. That night, it opened. Not into his home, into his mind. His son walked back through, skin blue with frostbite, eyes black as tar, and whispered, "You forgot something, Father." By morning, the man was gone. Only the door remained, and the son's bones neatly stacked beside it. It spread like rot. Every time someone lied to their door, the door opened wider. Every time a door opened, it needed a keeper to close it. And the first keeper, the man with no shadow, knew this would happen, because he was the first liar of all. He never told us where the doors really led. Not into forgiveness, not into redemption. They led into ourselves. I was the last one left. I stood before my door, knife in hand, ready to carve my secret into wood. But my secret was too heavy for words. I had killed everyone I ever loved, not with my hands, with my silence. I watched them lie to the doors. I let them believe the doors could save them, I let the keeper turn our fear into a ritual. I knew the truth and I said nothing. So when my door opened, I didn't run. I stepped through. I have been inside the doors for so long time forgot me. I've walked every hallway, held every key, opened every memory no one wanted to remember. And every time someone new steps into this forest, I see their lies crawling under their skin, wriggling like maggots, begging to be let out. The doors are hungry, because every secret left unspoken feeds them. Every betrayal denied waters their roots. Every coward who chooses silence over truth builds a new door. You think this place haunts you? You haunt yourselves. The keeper you met, the one with no eyes, no mouth, no face, he was just the last liar who survived the longest. Until now, because the moment you picked up the first key, you became part of the circle. There is no escape. There is no mercy. There is only truth, or the doors will eat you alive. So now, as you sit there, reading these words scratched into the walls, ask yourself, what lie did you bring here with you? Because your door is already listening. And when it opens, I'll be waiting on the other side. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors. Episode 8. The first thing you lose when you step through the 8th door is your name. Names are for the living. Here, you are only your sins. I didn't walk into the council chamber. I was pulled, dragged by invisible hands, fingernails scraping the floor, the keys embedded in my palm burning hotter with every inch. The air tasted like rust and old breath. It was thick with whispers, layered voices talking over each other until language became meaningless noise. The room was circular, built from doors fused together, each one pulsing like a slow-beating heart. In the center stood a table made of bones, and around it sat the council. I knew their faces, because they were all me. Every version of me that had ever lied to myself. The me who said I'm fine when I wasn't. The me who said I love you when I didn't. The me who said I'll come back when I knew I never would. The me who buried my brother and told everyone it wasn't my fault. They all smiled when they saw me, teeth too sharp, eyes too empty. Welcome home, they said. The council doesn't ask why you're here. They already know. The only question they care about is, what's the one truth you swore you'd never say out loud? Say it and you might survive. Refuse and you become part of the council, another voice in the chorus of the damned. They gave me 1 minute. The floor beneath my feet split open, and I saw what waited if I refused. A pit lined with teeth, every single one engraved with the name of someone I'd betrayed. The teeth were hungry. I opened my mouth to speak, and my own voice betrayed me. I didn't confess. I remembered the night my brother called me, begging for help, crying into the phone. I told him I couldn't come because I was too far away. That was a lie. I was sitting outside his house, watching him through the window, too afraid to go in. Because I knew if I stepped inside, he'd tell me the truth about myself. That I was the one who told the keeper about him. That I fed my own blood to the forest to save my skin. I watched him walk into the woods alone, and I let him go. The council leaned closer, skin creaking, bones snapping into new shapes. Tell them, they said. Say it out loud. But my throat locked, because saying it would mean becoming it. Not the survivor, not the victim, the betrayer, the murderer, the first liar. The floor cracked wider. Teeth scraped my ankles, pulling me down inch by inch. Say it, say it, say it. I screamed it. I let him die to save myself. The room shuddered. The doors screamed with me. And the council, they laughed. Because the truth doesn't set you free here. It just decides what kind of ghost you become. The council stood up, their faces becoming mine, their mouths wide open, and from each throat spilled a key, one for every lie I told to myself and survived. The keys flew toward me, piercing my skin, sinking into my spine like a second skeleton. Now you're ready, they said. Now you're keeper. The table split open, and from its center rose a throne made of keys. It was empty, because it was waiting for me. The council knelt not out of respect, but because that's the rule. Every new keeper must be crowned by the ghosts of his own lies. I sat down, the throne locked into my flesh, the keys twisting until they pierced my heart. I didn't bleed blood, I bled memories, every face I ever abandoned, every voice I ever ignored, every promise I ever broke. The forest swallowed them all. When the council spoke again, it wasn't to me. It was to the next soul who had just stepped into the forest. A new voice, trembling with fear. A girl, 16, eyeliner too thick, fake bravery like broken glass. The council smiled. "Welcome," they said. "The doors have been waiting for you, and so had I." Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 9. My name was Isabella, but to them I was only the witch. I didn't curse this land. They did. With every lie they told, every secret they buried, every child they abandoned in the woods because they couldn't feed one more mouth. They built the doors long before I ever touched them. They just needed someone to blame. It began with a child, a boy, born with eyes too dark, who spoke to things no one else could see. His mother brought him to me, knees in the dirt, begging me to fix him. Couldn't, because there was nothing wrong with him. He didn't talk to demons. He talked to the dead, the ones the village buried under thin soil, the ones who remembered the truth. The boy told me what they said, that the earth was tired of their lies, that the trees remembered every betrayal, that the only way to calm the land was to confess. I told the village. They burned my house down that night, but fire doesn't silence truth. I knew what they'd done. Every stolen harvest, every buried body, every betrayal whispered under the cover of night. They thought burning me would bury their sins. They didn't understand. Secrets are seeds. Bury them and they grow into doors. The first door grew from the ashes of my home. I didn't build it. The land did. It was made from everything they feared to admit. The bones of the babies they left in the cold. The wood from the houses they stole from widows. The iron from the shackles they put on men who spoke too loud. It stood where my front door used to be, and when I stepped through, I became the first keeper. The truth is this: the Forbidden Zone is not a curse. It's a confession no one wanted to make. Every person who walks into these woods carries a secret. Every secret feeds the doors. Every lie builds a new hallway. I didn't create the zone. I became its memory. They think witches have power. We don't. We just stop lying. When they dragged me to the square, when they tied me to the post, when they lit the fire, I didn't scream curses. I screamed their names. Every name tied to every sin. Every father who touched daughters in the dark. Every mother who let babies die because they wanted wine more than milk. Every priest who prayed by day and stole by night. I screamed until my voice cracked, until the sky opened, until the ground swallowed my name, and the first door opened by itself. They didn't see it. They were too busy celebrating my death. But the children saw. The children always see. After they burned me, they built 12 doors around the village. They called it protection. They called it a ritual. But it was a lie. The doors didn't protect them. The doors remembered. Every time someone whispered a secret instead of speaking it out loud, the doors heard. Every time someone chose silence over truth, the doors fed. They thought locking their lies inside the doors would keep them safe. But doors don't forget. And doors always open. The first keeper after me was my son. They didn't know I had one. I hid him in the woods before they came for me. But the doors found him. Because he knew my secrets too. He became the second keeper. Then the third. Then the fourth. Generations of liars, each one passing the keys to the next. Each one thinking they could escape if they just found someone worse to take their place. That's the real curse. The keeper isn't chosen. The keeper is the one who tells the truth last. So now you, the one holding this diary, you think you're the hero, the survivor, the truth seeker, but you've already lied. To yourself. To the forest. To me. That's why the doors opened for you. That's why you're holding the keys. Because you're next. The Forbidden Zone doesn't want your fear. It wants your truth. And if you're too much of a coward to speak it, the doors will speak for you. I am Isabella. I was the first woman to walk through. And when you close your eyes tonight, I'll be there, waiting at the next door. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors. Episode 10. They said my mother was a witch. They said fire would cleanse her sins. They said the doors would protect the village once she was gone. They lied. I was 6 when they dragged her away. I remember her hands, rough from digging herbs, warm from holding my face, trembling just a little when she tucked me into the roots of the oldest tree in the forest. "Stay here, my heart," she whispered. "No matter what you hear, do not move." I heard everything. I heard her scream my name as they tied her to the post. I heard the crackling wood as they lit the fire. I heard the villagers chanting prayers they didn't believe. But the loudest sound was the silence after. Because that's when the first door opened. It grew out of the earth right in front of me. A door made from her bones, bound together with strips of her burned skin. It opened without a key. Because I was the key. I stepped through. Because what else could a son do when the only home he ever knew called him back? The other side wasn't the forest. It was her house, still whole, still warm, still smelling of sage and rainwater. But she wasn't there. Only her voice, drifting from room to room like smoke that couldn't find a window. "I'm here, my heart. Just one more door." I opened the first door, then the second, then the third, each one showing me a piece of her life I was too young to understand. I saw the day they called her witch for healing a baby they left to die. I saw the night they carved lyre into her door because she spoke about the bodies buried under the fields. I saw the moment she realized no one in that village ever wanted the truth. They only wanted someone to blame. Every door brought me closer. Every door took something from me. By the 7th door, my hands were bleeding. The keys had grown into my fingers, sinking into skin and bone like they were always meant to be there. By the 9th door, I couldn't remember my own name. The doors whispered new ones into my ears. Son of the witch, child of the cursed, heir to the keeper. By the 12th door, I found her. She was standing in a room made of mirrors, each one showing a different version of herself. Mother, healer, witch, monster, corpse. She was holding a key made of her own teeth. She smiled when she saw me. "I knew you'd come." I ran to her, but my feet wouldn't move, because the doors weren't done with me yet. The floor split open, and the council of the damned rose from beneath. Men and women I knew, neighbors, friends, the priest who baptized me. But now their skin was stitched with sins, their mouths sealed with strips of their own lies. They spoke without speaking. "To leave, you must confess." But I was 6. What sins could a child have? Then the mirror spoke. It showed me my own betrayal. The night before they came for her, I heard them whispering outside our window. They said if someone told them where she hid her herbs, they might let her live. I told them, because I was afraid, and now the doors knew. I fell to my knees. The council offered me a choice: confess and become keeper, or deny and become a door. I was 6. I didn't know what keeper meant, but I didn't want to be a door, so I confessed, and the doors swallowed me whole. I have been keeper ever since, but not like the ones you've met. The first keeper is always the purest, because the forest needs a clean heart to hold the filth of every liar who comes after. My mother is gone, but her doors are still here. They have grown, multiplied, fed by every step you take into this forest. And every time a new liar walks through, my hands tremble a little more, remembering what it felt like to hold hers. You think the doors are haunted by witches? You're wrong. They're haunted by children. Every child who told a lie to survive. Every child who gave up someone they loved to save themselves. Every child who became the next keeper because they were too young to know how to fight back. We are the forest now, and we remember everything. So if you're reading this, If you've taken the first step into these woods, know this: we don't want your fear. We want your childhood. We want the first time you ever realized the world was cruel, and we want to make you live that moment forever. Because that's what the first keeper does. We don't guard the doors. We guard the first lie you ever told. And now that you're here, it's time to remember. Forbidden Zone, Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 11. I came here for content. Call it a job, a hustle, whatever makes you sleep at night. But at the end of the day, views pay my bills. Ghost hunting is a goldmine if you know how to scream on cue, how to shake the camera just enough to make people believe something's there. I've been scratched, pushed, whispered to, all fake, all staged, all cut perfectly in post. The only real ghosts are in the comments section. So when I heard about the Forbidden Zone, I thought, perfect. No one's ever live-streamed from here and walked out. I was gonna be the first. The legend. The first hour was nothing. Trees, fog, silence. I talked shit into the camera, made up some nonsense about Cursed Ground, threw in a fake EVP recording I downloaded off Reddit. The audience ate it up, for 100K views and climbing. Then I found the door. Not a cabin door, not some rusty cellar door. This was a door grown from the earth itself. Wood and roots twisted together, wet with something that smelled like tears and blood. My chat went crazy. Open it, bro. Don't be a pussy. Key Master Arc. I laughed, played scared for the camera. But the second my hand touched the knob, the stream cut out. No signal, no chat, no escape. The door opened by itself. I expected dark hallways, flickering lights, maybe some bullshit jump scare. What I got was my childhood bedroom. Exactly as I left it, except the walls were too close and every poster had no faces. Just mirrors all angled toward the bed. And on the bed was me. Not adult me, not ghost me, child me, 7 years old, clutching my knees, shaking, staring at the closet door, because that was the night he came back. The closet opened, not fast, not sudden, slow like the wood was breathing in and out. Inside wasn't clothes, it was my father, not drunk, not angry, calm, too calm. The calm before a hand grabs your ankle from under the bed. Come here, son. His voice was honey and rust. I didn't move. The boy on the bed didn't either. Come. Here. The boy obeyed, because boys always obey when they're too scared to scream. I was frozen, watching my past self walk willingly into hell, and I couldn't stop it, because this wasn't a haunting. This was a replay. The first lie I ever told. Nothing happened. I'm fine. The scene glitched. Suddenly, the closet was a door again. But now, I was inside and my child self was the one standing outside. He held the camera. He was filming me. Say it. His voice was flat. Say the truth or stay forever. Couldn't, because saying it would make it real. And I built my whole life on pretending it wasn't. The closet shrank around me. The wood pressed into my back like a hand between my shoulder blades. Say it. The boy's voice split into thousands of voices. Every viewer, every subscriber, every like and share. Say it or we'll say it for you. I screamed. He touched me. The door exploded, shards of wood embedding into my skin. But the pain was clean, honest. For the first time, I wasn't haunted. I was just human. The Forbidden Zone doesn't care about ghosts. It doesn't need to scare you. It just needs you to admit who you really are. I walked out of that door into the forest again. The camera was gone. The chat was gone. The views were gone. And so was the boy. But the keys stayed. They hung from my fingers, fused into flesh. Because once you confess, the zone doesn't let you leave empty-handed. It makes you the next keeper of stories. Now, when someone new steps into this forest, looking for views or fame or cheap thrills, I'm the one holding the camera, and I film them until they confess, until the forest gets fed again. Forbidden Zone, Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 12. I'm not afraid of ghosts. I make money off ghosts. 20 years as an online spirit medium. Live stream seances, spirit callings, karma cleansing via screen. I thought I knew them all. I was wrong. Forbidden Zone. I heard the name before, laughed it off. What ghost could possibly scare me? I thought. I believed. I brought my bells, my charms, my protection amulets. I went live from the forest's edge. 20,000 viewers. Comments flooding in. Be careful, ma'am. They say no one comes back from there. You're our last hope to uncover the truth. I smiled. Livestream is a show. The audience is cash. Ghosts are all the same. I stepped in. The world went silent. Not just quiet. Silent, as if someone muted the whole earth. The phone went dark. I turned around. A door stood behind me. Not a wooden door. A door braided from red threads. The exact kind I tied around clients' wrists, calling it a spiritual protection thread. The door opened. Inside was not the forest, not a haunted house. It was my own shrine room, the one I used for live streams. Everything was there. The incense bowl I bought online, the printed temple image I stole from Google, and sitting right in the middle were 20 spirits. All of them were my former clients. The old lady who cried for her husband's ghost. I once told her, "He's here, sitting beside you." She smiled. She paid me $200. That night, she overdosed on sleeping pills to follow her beloved husband, the young woman who lost her baby in a miscarriage. I once said, "Your baby's spirit is with you." Smiling, she sent me $150. I ended the stream. Next morning, they found her hanging in her room. The man who lost his mother to a pandemic. I once told him, "Your mother says you must burn $2,000 worth of paper money." He took a loan, paid me $500 for a ritual. A month later, he vanished. 20 spirits, eyes milky white, mouth stitched with red threads, fingers all pointing at me. Your turn. I chanted spells. Nothing worked. I called the Buddha's name. No answer. I pulled out a talisman. Just a blank piece of paper. Because the truth is, I never had real powers. All I had was a sharp tongue and a voice changer app. And Forbidden Zone? It doesn't care how well you fake it. It only cares how much blood your lies have spilled. The floor cracked open. 20 doors rose. Each door carved with the name of one spirit. I had to open them all. Face each one. Confess every lie I sold them. Or become the 21st door. The first door swung open. The old lady stepped out. Not the sweet grandma from my stream, but a rotting corpse, eyes leaking dark water, still wearing the red thread I tied on her wrist. She didn't speak. She opened her mouth wide, and inside her mouth was my own voice. "He's here, sitting beside you." I collapsed to my knees, begged for forgiveness. She reached into her throat and pulled out a red key, knotted with the thread I gave her. She shoved the key into my mouth. One by one. One door, one spirit. Every door forced me to swallow my own lies. Every word I used to make money. Each time I swallowed, a key grew from my skin, sewn into my flesh like stitches made of metal. By the 20th door, I faced the final spirit. It was myself. Not the me standing here now. The me from 20 years ago, young, clean, untouched by greed. I wanted to beg her for mercy. She just smiled and held up my very first live stream banner. Spirit calling, $8.99, guaranteed accuracy, full refund if wrong. The door shut. I swallowed everything. Every key, every word, every lie. Forbidden Zone doesn't punish you. It simply makes you eat the ghosts you created. Now I sit here in the dark. No live stream, no clients, no money, just red-threaded keys sewn over my eyelids. And every time some new ghost-hunting fraud enters this forest, I'm the one who opens their first door. I was a spirit medium. Now I'm a door. Open me, and you'll see yourself. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 13. I used to have a voice. I used to have a name. I used to have a mother. The forest took all three. She brought me here, said we were going camping, just the two of us. But I knew. Even at 6, I could see the fear behind her smile, the way her hands shook when she packed my bag. She wasn't taking me to camp. She was hiding me from someone. The first night, we slept by the river. She told me stories about a forest that could hear lies. I laughed. She didn't. She made me promise. No matter what you hear, never answer. Never speak. That was the last thing she ever said to me. The next morning, she was gone. No footprints. No sound. Just the tent and a door standing where the campfire should be. The door was cracked open. I knew I shouldn't, but I peeked inside. I saw her. Not alive. Not dead. Just stuck. Inside a room made of every word she never said to me. The walls were built from, "I'm sorry. I was scared. I should have told you the truth." Her mouth moved, but no sound came out, because the door had taken her voice. I screamed, and that's when the forest took mine. My throat locked, like someone had shoved their hand deep inside me and squeezed. I tried to cry, tried to call her name. Nothing, just silence. And in that silence, the first lie appeared, written across my skin like ink bleeding through paper. "I'm not scared. That's how it works here." Every lie you tell, even the ones you tell yourself, they appear on your body. First, it was small things. "I'm okay. She's coming back. It's just a dream." But the longer I stayed, the bigger they got, until the lies didn't fit on my skin anymore. They crawled off me, onto the trees, into the dirt, across the sky. The forest remembers every word we don't mean. I stopped trying to speak. What's the point? When the truth is louder than your voice. That's when the book appeared. A leather journal, its pages made from something too soft to be paper. And every time someone stepped into the forest, the book opened itself. It showed me their lies before they could even speak them. A man who told his wife he'd quit drinking. A daughter who swore she never read her mother's diary. A boy who promised to keep his best friend's secret. The book knew. The book wrote it all down in my handwriting. Because here, the silent ones become the scribes. I've been here ever since. I've seen every keeper. Every liar who walked in thinking they could cheat the doors. Every scream swallowed whole. The forest doesn't need to punish anyone. It just shows them what they already are. Some nights, when the wind sounds like crying, I open the book to the very first page. It's my mother's handwriting. "I'll protect you." She lied. The book doesn't let me write my own lies. Only yours, because I have no voice left to lie with. If you're reading this, you're already in the forest. You already lied to someone, maybe yourself, maybe someone you love. That's why the door opened for you. I'll be waiting at the next tree, not to scare you, not to hurt you, just to write down your name, because every lie needs a witness, and I'm the child who never spoke again. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 14. They thought this would be romantic. A forbidden forest, a dangerous legend, a secret trip, just the two of them. What better way to seal their love than to survive a haunted place together? Maya and Luke, two lovers, two lies, too deep to turn back. They laughed at the warnings. They kissed in front of the first door like it was a photo booth. They held hands as they crossed the line between forest and nowhere. Their mistake wasn't coming here. Their mistake was believing they were only lying to their spouses. The first sign something was wrong came quickly. Maya felt it first. A sharp tug at her wedding ring, like someone was pulling it off, though Luke's hand was nowhere near hers. Then the door appeared. Not a regular door. It was covered in photos. Pictures of Maya and Luke together. Every secret weekend. Every hidden hotel. Every kiss they thought no one saw. And in every photo there was a third person, standing in the background, watching. They recognized her immediately. Sophie, Luke's wife, or to be exact, the ghost of her. The door opened. Inside was a motel room, but not one they remembered, because this wasn't their room. This was Sophie's, the room she died in. Sophie didn't kill herself. That's what they told the police. That's what they told her parents. That's what they told themselves. But the forest knew the truth. Sophie found out about Maya. She confronted them both, begged, cried, threatened. She said she'd expose everything, so they shoved her. Not hard, just enough to make her stumble. But motel windows are thinner than they look. And Sophie fell, 6 stories down. She was still alive when they reached her. She begged them to call for help. They didn't. They stood there, watching, waiting for her to stop breathing. The forest played it all back for them. Every sound, every breath, every second they stood in silence, deciding that their love was worth more than her life. Maya screamed. Luke vomited. The door laughed. They ran. But the forest doesn't let murderers run. It makes them retrace every step, from the first kiss to the last breath. Every tree showed them a different moment of their affair. But now, Sophie was there too, always in the corner, always staring. Her face wasn't angry. It was disappointed, because she didn't die for revenge. She died thinking they were still good people. They reached the second door. This one had no handle, just a slit at the bottom like a confession booth. A voice whispered from inside, "Tell the truth." Maya dropped to her knees. She told everything. How they planned the trip, how they rehearsed their story, how they even practiced crying for the police interview. The door didn't open, because the forest doesn't care about the crime, cares about the lie beneath it. The voice whispered again, "Tell the real truth." Luke's hands shook. He told a new story, that Sophie wasn't the first, that Maya wasn't the only lover, that this was a pattern, not a mistake, that every time someone got too close, too serious, too inconvenient, he found a way to make them disappear. Sophie was just the first one who fought back. The door opened, but behind it was not an exit. It was a bed, the very bed they shared the night Sophie died. And in the bed lay 2 bodies, themselves. Their own dead faces stared back. Their own hands gripped each other's throats. Because in the forbidden zone, lovers who lie do not get to live together. They only get to die together. The forest doesn't kill you. It makes you finish what you started. The door closed. The forest grew 1 tree taller. And somewhere, in some other city, another couple is planning their forbidden escape. The forest will be waiting. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors. Episode 15. The door didn't stand still. It breathed. The wood stretched and collapsed, slow and steady, like a giant lung inhaling secrets and exhaling silence. I didn't want to touch it, but the forest doesn't care what you want. The air grew thicker with every step. Each breath scraped my throat, leaving a metallic taste on my tongue, like breathing in old blood and burnt paper. My hand rose on its own. Knuckles met the surface. The wood shuddered under my touch, like skin over broken ribs. The door knew me. It knew what I had swallowed. You see, every survivor leaves this place with something inside them. Not a curse, not a mark, tumor. A lump of unsaid words, swallowed lies, secrets too heavy to speak. Every time you tell yourself, "I'm fine," the tumor grows. Every time you choose silence over truth, the tumor spreads. Until one day your own breath betrays you. The door creaked open. Inside wasn't a room. It was a lung. My lung. Veins stretched along the walls like twisted vines. My childhood fears hung from the ceiling like damp laundry. Every breath I never dared to take clung to the air, stale, heavy, waiting. In the center of the room there was a mirror, but it didn't show my reflection. It showed the first lie I ever swallowed whole. I was 8 years old, sitting in the back seat, my mother crying silently as my father screamed at her. "He's just a kid. He won't remember." But I did. I remembered every word, every slap, every shattered glass. I remembered thinking, if I stay quiet, maybe they'll stop. That was the night my breath turned to stone inside me. The mirror shattered, and from the broken glass poured my own voice, the one I silenced that night. "Stop fighting. Stop hurting her. Please love me." The words hit me like fists. Each one dug into my skin, carving itself into my chest until I couldn't breathe. I fell to my knees. The door closed behind me. The only way out was to exhale everything. Not just say it, feel it. Every pain, every fear, every truth I buried so deep, I forgot they were mine. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. Because the forest doesn't care about the sounds you make. It only wants the truth behind them. I tore at my chest, fingers clawing through skin and ribs until I found it. The tumor, a black knot of swallowed words, pulsing with every heartbeat. It wasn't small. It was the size of my entire heart. Because I never told the truth. Not to my parents, not to my friends, not to myself. I held it in my hands, pulsed once, twice, and then it spoke with my mother's voice. "It's okay, baby. I forgive you." And for the first time, I believed her. I exhaled. The tumor dissolved into smoke. The door took a breath with me. And for a moment, just a moment, I felt light. The forbidden zone doesn't want your life. It wants your truth. The parts you choke on. The words that strangle you from the inside out. And if you're brave enough to exhale them all, you might just walk out. Not whole, not healed, but lighter. The door behind me disappeared. The forest breathed me out. And when I stepped into daylight, I realized my chest didn't hurt anymore. Because I finally learned the only way to survive Forbidden Zone is to stop lying to yourself. But as I turned to leave, the air shifted. The forest whispered one final question. Now that you've exhaled everything, what will you breathe in next? Forbidden Zone, Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 16. I don't know my name anymore. Maybe I never had one. Maybe I had too many. Maybe my name is yours. The first thing they took was my reflection. It started slow, faces melting into each other, smiles from strangers curling at the edges of my mouth, memories of rooms I've never seen. Until one day, the mirror showed nothing. Because I was no longer one person. I was everyone who ever opened a door. You think being keeper means power. It doesn't. It means storage. Every confession, every scream, every whispered plea. They don't vanish. They sink into me. I carry every truth no one else could face. I hold every lie they swallowed whole. And over time, their weight pressed against my bones until my own memories snapped. I don't remember my mother's face. I don't remember if I ever had a brother. I don't remember the first time I lied. But I remember yours. There was a boy once, he said his father never hit him. But his skin remembered. There was a woman. She swore she never wanted children. But her womb remembered. There was a priest. He preached salvation by day, but by night, his hands remembered the altar boy's trembling shoulders. I hold all of them. Their voices claw inside my skull, fighting for space, until there's no room left for me. Sometimes I wonder, if I could dig deep enough, scrape through all the borrowed memories, would I find my own? Was I a good man? Was I ever innocent? Did I choose to be keeper? Or did the forest choose me? The answer doesn't matter, because once you wear the keys, you stop belonging to yourself. The forest doesn't need a guardian. It needs a graveyard, a place to bury every truth too ugly to face. And the keeper? We are the tombstones. I don't dream anymore, or maybe all I do is dream. It's hard to tell the difference when you live inside a memory that isn't yours. Some nights, I'm a little girl hiding under a bed, praying her father won't find her. Some nights, I'm a soldier burying a ring in the dirt beside a woman he swore he'd save. Some nights, I'm a mother, standing in a burning house, choosing which child to carry out. But I'm never me. Because I forgot who me is. You think surviving Forbidden Zone makes you strong. It doesn't. It makes you empty. Every step you take out of the forest leaves a piece of you behind, until all that's left is a shape that looks human but isn't. That shape is me. I am not a ghost. I am not a demon. I am a story made of stories, a body stitched from secrets no one could swallow. And when the next liar steps into these woods, I will welcome them, not as keeper, but as a mirror, because that's the final curse. You don't guard the doors. You become the door. So if you're reading this, if you've felt the keys starting to grow under your skin, hear me. Remember who you are. Hold on to your name. Claw it into your bones if you have to. Because if you forget, the forest will write a new one for you, and you'll wear it forever. I am the keeper, but once I was someone. I just can't remember who. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors. Episode 17. No footsteps triggered them. No trembling hand reached for a knob. No trembling voice whispered a confession. Yet every door opened at once. From the oldest trees to the youngest roots, from the edge of the forest to its heart. Every secret, every lie, every memory buried too deep to dig up, the doors vomited them all out into the air. I wasn't the first to hear it. The earth shook first, like something crawling up from underneath, something too heavy to stay buried. The trees groaned, their bark splitting like old scars finally ripped open. The air hummed, thick with the sound of wood bending, iron creaking, whispers colliding into each other until every word dissolved into a scream. And then they opened. Every door, from the first to the last, swung wide. Even the ones no one had found yet. Even the ones built for secrets no one had admitted existed. They opened like lungs gasping for air after drowning in silence. And from each door, they stepped out the forgotten. Not ghosts, not memories, the keepers who failed. The ones who couldn't hold the weight. The ones who forgot their own names. The ones who tried to lie to the forest itself. They came out crawling, walking, some dragging themselves with no legs left. Skin stitched from confession letters, fingers made of broken keys, mouths full of rotting prayers they never finished saying. They weren't here to haunt. They were here to judge. Every living soul inside the zone that night, every unlucky hiker, every thrill seeker, every lost wanderer, they were all dragged to the center, where the first door was born, where the first lie was told, where the first keeper died. No one spoke, not the living, not the dead, because the doors spoke for them. Each door opened wider, vomiting out its original sin, the very first lie that gave birth to it. A door built from a daughter's silence, the night her father crept into her room. A door grown from a soldier's denial, the day he left his brother bleeding in the dirt. A door carved from a mother's smile, the one she forced after burying her newborn in the forest. The doors sang every sin, every betrayal, every cowardice. The survivors screamed. Some tried to run. The forest didn't let them. Roots curled around ankles. Branches bent into arms, pulling them back into the clearing. Because tonight wasn't about escape. Tonight was about paying the debt. And at the very center stood her, Isabella, the first woman, the first voice ever swallowed by the zone. She didn't look like a witch. She looked tired, as if holding this curse for so long had drained everything but her bones. She opened her mouth, and her voice was not her own. It was every voice that ever lied in this forest, speaking at once. Why did you come here? The first question, the only question that mattered. No one could answer, because no one came here by accident. Some came to bury a secret. Some came to find one. Some came to escape themselves. But no one came innocent. The doors waited. The forest waited. Isabella raised her hand, and in her palm was the first key. The key that started it all. The key made from her own teeth, pulled out the night they burned her alive. She held it out. Who will take it? No one moved, because everyone knew the rule. Whoever takes the first key becomes the next keeper. Not just of the doors, but of every secret, every scream, every drop of fear that ever soaked into this earth. The earth shook harder. The doors opened wider. The forgotten moved closer. If no one took the key, the doors would swallow everyone. I don't know who reached first. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was a boy who never forgave himself. Maybe it was the ghost of the first liar. It didn't matter, because the moment the key left Isabella's hand, the doors slammed shut. Not forever, just until the next lie finds its way into the forest. because that's the truth no one wants to admit. There is no forbidden zone. There's only a mirror, waiting for anyone brave enough or stupid enough to look. The first keeper was gone, but the key stayed, and the next hand holding it was already turning into wood. The doors don't need you to open them. They need you to feed them. And no matter how long the forest sleeps, someone always lies again. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors. Episode 18. Do you know what happens to a keeper who tells the whole truth? Not just a piece. Not just a confession to buy more time. I mean the whole naked, filthy truth. The kind that burns your tongue as you say it. The forest doesn't reward honesty. It erases it. Once I had a name. I had a face. I had hands that opened doors and closed wounds. I was the keeper who broke the rules. I told someone everything. She was just a girl, 17, wide-eyed, trembling, standing in front of the fifth door. I should have let her suffer. That's the rule. Keepers don't comfort. Keepers don't guide. We only witness. But her hands looked like my sister's hands. The sister I think I had. The sister whose name I can't remember. So I broke the rule. I took her hand. I told her the secret no keeper is allowed to say. The doors aren't haunted. The forest isn't cursed. It's you. You are the curse. Every lie you ever told builds the next door. Every truth you swallow feeds the next keeper. She stared at me, tears flooding her face. She asked, "So if I tell the truth right now, I can leave?" And I told her the last forbidden truth. Not if. You have to tell the truth. All of it. To everyone you've ever lied to. Even the ones who are already dead. She ran. She screamed her secrets to the trees. She dug up old bones and whispered apologies into the dirt. She stood in front of every door, shouting her sins like prayers. And the doors, they opened for her. Not to punish her. To release her. It was the first time the forest lost a soul. And it never forgave me. The next morning, my face was gone. The reflection in every puddle blank. My voice stolen. My memories bleeding out of my skin like ink from torn pages. The forest didn't just punish me. It deleted me. No keeper remembers me. No door carries my name. Even the earth forgot the weight of my footsteps. I became a ghost of a ghost, floating between memories no one wanted to keep. But you can't truly erase a truth-teller, because somewhere, deep in the wood's belly, the truth remembers itself. That's why you're hearing me now. Because the forest made one mistake. It left me with one thing, my story. I'm not warning you. I'm not saving you. I'm just leaving this here. A loose thread in a web too big to untangle. Because one day another keeper will get tired. They'll look at someone and see a face they used to love. And they'll break the rule again. And the forest will erase them too. Until the day comes when no one remembers who built the first door. But I remember. And now so do you. When the doors call your name and your own reflection doesn't recognize you anymore, remember this: truth is not freedom. Truth is eviction. And the forest does not forgive anyone who opens the door from the inside. I was the keeper. I told the truth. Now I am nothing. But I'm still here, waiting for the next fool brave enough to speak. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 19. There was no handle, no keyhole, no carvings, no symbols. The final door didn't need them, because the only way in was to recognize yourself on the other side. It stood at the center of the forest, where no compass worked, where no sun reached, where the air curled like smoke that forgot how to rise. It didn't call your name. It whispered your silence. Every word you swallowed instead of saying. Every scream you choked back. Every memory you rewrote to survive. The door knew them all. The first rule of the final door. It only opens if you know who you really are. The second rule. If you lie, the door opens anyway, but you never walk back out. I stood in front of it, my skin crawling with voices that didn't belong to me. Whispers from keepers long gone. Echoes from the girl who told too much truth. Fragments from lovers who thought the forest couldn't hear them breathe. They all asked the same question. Who are you? I opened my mouth. No sound came out, because I didn't know anymore. The forest doesn't kill you. It strips you, peels away every borrowed mask, every rehearsed smile, until all that's left is the first version of you. The one you buried under every lie you told to survive. The version of me that stood before the final door. He was 8 years old, crying under a table, hiding from parents who thought silence meant obedience. He was holding a mirror. But the reflection wasn't his. It was mine. The me who grew up pretending to be fine. The me who learned to lie with a smile. The me who forgot how to tell the truth, even to myself. The mirror cracked. The door breathed. I placed my hand on the wood, and it felt like touching skin stretched too tight over bone. Tell us who you are, the forest whispered. Or let us decide for you. I tried to answer, but every time I said my name, the forest spat it back out. Not my real name, the name I gave myself to fit in, to hide, to survive. The final door only accepts the first name you ever gave yourself, before you knew how to lie. I couldn't remember it, so the door opened anyway. The room inside wasn't a room, it was a theater. Rows of empty seats, and on the stage me, every version of me, the scared child, the angry teenager, the liar in a suit, the lover who cheated, the friend who betrayed, the son who ran, the keeper who forgot. They stood side by side, staring at me, waiting. Choose, they said. Who do you want to be? I pointed at the version I thought was strongest, the keeper, because keepers survive. The others vanished, but the keeper didn't smile. He only whispered, "Wrong answer." The theater collapsed. The final door slammed shut behind me, and the forest carved a new rule into my bones. You don't get to choose who you are in the Forbidden Zone. You only get to remember who you were before you started lying. I looked down at my hands. They were too small, too soft. I was 8 years old again, because the final door doesn't want the survivor. It wants the child who never learned to survive. The forest returned me to the moment I first learned to lie. The moment I first said, "I'm fine," when I wasn't. The moment I became a door myself. Now, when someone new reaches the final door, they don't see me. They see themselves as a child, as a liar, as a ghost waiting to be born. Because the final door isn't a door at all. It's a mirror made from every secret you tried to forget. And once you look inside, you either tell the truth or the door learns to wear your face. Forbidden Zone. Diaries of the Survivors, Episode 20. I am the last one. The only one who made it out. Or at least, the only one who made it this far. People ask me all the time, "What was it like? What did you see? How did you survive?" I never answer, because the truth is, I didn't survive. Not completely. The Forbidden Zone doesn't let anyone leave empty-handed. It sends you back with a gift. Some people leave with voices that aren't theirs. Some leave with hands that open doors no one else can see. Some leave with no reflection at all. Me? I left with the doors themselves. The first one appeared a week after I got out. A small patch of skin on my ribs, rougher than the rest, shaped like a keyhole. I ignored it. Thought it was a scar from the forest. Then I told my first lie, just a small one. "I'm fine." And the skin split open. A door, no taller than a finger, pushed its way out, dripping blood and ink. It opened. Behind the door was a memory I thought I'd buried. Me, age 12, stealing money from my mother's purse. Telling her I didn't know where it went. Watching her cry. The door showed me everything. Played it back like a film projected on my skin. It only closed when I said the truth out loud. That's the curse. That's the gift. Every time I lie, a new door grows. Every time I hide a truth, it finds a place to live on my body. My chest is a hallway. My back is a maze. My arms are locked tight with memories I haven't faced yet. The Forbidden Zone didn't end when I left. Came with me. It lives inside me. And now, when people ask what it was like, I just smile. That's lie number 1. The next time I take off my shirt, there will be a new door to open. You think surviving means escaping. Doesn't. Surviving means becoming the forest yourself. I don't need to go back, because now, wherever I go, the forbidden zone follows. Last night, I told myself, it's over. You're safe now. I woke up with a door carved into my throat. When it opens, I know what I'll see. The first time I stepped into the forest. The first lie I told myself that I was strong enough to face it. I wasn't. I'm still not. But it doesn't matter, because the doors don't need strength. They only need space to grow. If you see me walking past you on the street, if you see me smile politely, if you hear me say, I'm fine, just know, somewhere under my clothes, a new door is already opening. I am the last survivor, but I am not free. I am just the first door of the next forest.